If we find out the resultant and the resultant works out to be 0, then this body is said to be in equilibrium. We just take an example of how the resultant can be 0. Let us say we are plotting F1, to the tip of F1 plot F2, to the tip of F2 plot F3 and F4. There is no gap. Had there been a resultant force, there would have been some gap, and the gap which is being filled up will be the resultant. But here the resultant is 0. This particular body is said to be in equilibrium. Thus we can say that whenever a particle acted upon by a number of forces is under a resultant force which is equal to 0, it is said to be in equilibrium. Numerically, you can put this as whenever r square, which is equal to rx square plus ry square, is 0, then you have a condition of equilibrium. When will rx square be 0? When the summation of all the horizontal forces is 0. Similarly, when will ry be 0? When the summation of all the vertical forces is 0. That brings us to two very important equations called the equations of equilibrium. Whenever a particle is acted upon by a system of concurrent forces, it will be in equilibrium when the summation of all the horizontal forces acting on it is 0 and the summation of all the vertical forces is also 0. In this case, we will say that the particle is in equilibrium. Therefore, the conditions of equilibrium are two equations. These two equations are called the equations of equilibrium for concurrent forces. Summation of all the horizontal forces is 0, summation of all the vertical forces is 0, then the body acted upon by those forces will be in equilibrium. The next concept, what is an equilibrant? Supposing we have a system of forces F1, F2, F3. The resultant of all those forces is R. If we are able to apply that force R in the opposite direction, then the net effect is going to be 0, because R is the effect, it is carrying the effect of all these three forces combined. Now we are applying R in the opposite direction, and therefore let us say this is that force R dash. When we are applying it in the opposite direction, it is going to nullify the combined effect of F1, F2 and F3. This force R dash is called the equilibrant, and the equilibrant is defined as the force required to bring a particle acted upon by a number of forces into equilibrium. Let us go back to Newton's laws. Newton's first law of motion says that if the resultant force acting on a particle is 0, the particle will remain at rest if originally at rest, or will remain in motion with constant speed. Mind well, constant. It is not going to increase or decrease. It will remain in motion with a constant speed in a straight line if originally in motion. So, this removes the misconception that whenever a particle is under equilibrium, it is stationary. No. It will be stationary if originally it was stationary. It will remain in motion without any increase or decrease of speed if originally it was in motion. Having said that, let us try to understand what we know by free body diagrams. Now in real life, we will always have a three-dimensional system. A structure or any particular problem is going to be three-dimensional. Let us say this truck. Let me give you an example of this truck. Now this truck is loaded by this particular cargo, a box. Behind the scenes, how did this box get loaded on this truck? Let us say once again a very simple system of pulleys which put it exactly in position on this truck. Now this three-dimensional system is called a space diagram. This is the actual real-time scenario. It is a bit difficult to try and understand a force system on a space diagram, and therefore we try to simplify the space diagram into a two-dimensional system which is called a free body diagram. Let us take that same problem. Here is the space diagram. The truck is being loaded upon by the box with the help of all the pulleys and the people working on it. What we are interested in is how much will the forces be in each of these strings. I am reducing that entire system into the forces which are acting over here. The weight of the box will be W. The force in this string is going to be TAC, that will be a tensile force. The force in this string is going to be TAB. So now I have a simpler and a better way of resolving these forces in order to understand the force system separated from the real life situation. All these other entities are of no use to us. We are only interested in these forces. Your problem becomes very simple. Draw the force triangle, draw TAC to the tip of it, draw TAB to the tip of it, draw W. This is a body in equilibrium, and therefore the resultant is going to be 0, and you will be able to find out the forces, the unknown forces TAC as well as TAB. So this is the whole concept of trying to find out a simpler figure from the space diagrams, which we will call the free body diagram. Let us try and do a few exercises of space and free body diagram. Once again, a very complex system. You have a person, a skier who is skiing. Look at all the forces that are going to act on it. Now if we try to understand the entire postural and the body and the position of the skier, we are lost. Instead of that, if I am just concentrating only on the force with which the skier is moving, the weight which the skier is going to have, the gravitational weight, and the reaction which is going to be offered to the ski. Another example, a complex system of members which are meeting at certain point, very complex. You will feel, a student will feel that whatever is happening I am not able to understand, but look at the forces acting. You have a force from this member, you have a force from this member, you have a reaction from the vertical member, and there is a horizontal member. This becomes the free body diagram. Your complex real time space diagram is now reduced to a simpler free body diagram. Another example of a bracket where there are 2 or maybe 3 or maybe 4 angles which are meeting. We are only interested in the forces which are being exerted through each of these members. So here there are only 2 members. Let us call this force FA and the force FB. You have only 2 forces which are concurrent, and you have the angles at which each of these forces is acting. Simple to deal with. Another example, there is a climber. Now you are asked to find out the resultant of all the forces on this climber. Not a difficult task if you are able to reduce it only to a free body diagram. Let us look at these forces. There is going to be a force in the string holding the climber, that I have shown by the red angles. There is a force which the climber is exerting on the rocks through his own feet, which is this force, and there is a force which is exerted on the climber through the rope which is holding him. This is all. So you can analyze any complex force systems if you are able to draw very neat and clear free body diagrams. Another example, you have a system of pulleys holding a weight here and holding a weight here. You have a force F which is acting at normal to this force. You have the weight of the force and the reaction from the incline. Similarly, you have the force in the string, the tensile force in the string, which is going to be acting on this force. So any force system, first of all, has to be resolved into its free body diagrams. Only then you can go ahead and analyze those forces using the free body diagrams. A few more examples. This is once again a rod and a circular disc which is held in place. This is the space diagram. What will the free body diagram look like? The force in the cable, that is this. The force which is being exerted by the wall on this sphere is this reaction of the wall, and the weight of the ball itself, the sphere, that is weight. Remove everything else and your force system is simplified into a free body diagram comprising of the tension T, the reaction R, and the weight W of the sphere. Once again, a rod which is holding a sphere and you are trying to pull that over a step. Looks complex. What does the free body diagram look like? We have that same sphere which is being held in place by a tension cable T, the force which is going to be in this cable, a reaction from the step which is trying to overcome, which is acting over here, and the weight of the sphere itself which is equal to W. So you have once again a system of forces T, R and W which will comprise of the free body diagrams. Problem: you have a hinge C, a hinge B, and there are cables passing over A. At the end of this cable there is a box which is hanging. This entire system is in equilibrium. Now because it is in equilibrium, you want to find out what will be the forces. The problem is here shown in the form of free body diagrams. Free body diagram comprising of tension in cable B, tension in cable C and the weight W of the box. Resolve into its horizontal and vertical components, that is sigma Fx, sigma Fy. Because the body is in equilibrium, we will apply the two equations of equilibrium, sigma Fx equals 0, sigma Fy equals 0, and you will be able to find out very simply the unknown force in the tension cable B and the unknown force in the tension cable C. So, dear friends, we are able to understand now how a complex system of forces can be resolved into its free body state. Apply the simple equations of trigonometry, parallelogram or the triangle rule in order to find out whether it is in equilibrium. If it is not in equilibrium, what is the resultant? If you want to find out the equilibrant, then apply the resultant in the opposite direction to that of the resultant, and you are able to again bring that system into equilibrium. In the next session, you will be going ahead with the Lami's theorem and a system of forces by solving the Lami's theorem. Then on, you will be talking about non-coplanar forces and non-concurrent forces. So, these are again a few more problems. Panel section with more angles, and you have a system of forces and a system of unknown forces. Those unknown forces C and T are to be resolved using the equations of equilibrium, sigma Fx equals 0, sigma Fy equals 0. You have the entire system, 8 kilonewton force in the positive x direction. T cos 40 is once again going to be in the positive direction. C is going to have x component in the positive and y component in the negative. So, C sin 20 is positive. 16 kilonewton force is acting in the negative x direction. So, minus 16. Apply the equation to 0. Similarly, T sin 40 is going to be in the positive y. 3 kilonewton is itself in the negative y direction, and C cos 20 is going to be the negative y direction carrying the negative sign. Apply the equation of equilibrium, sigma y Fy equals 0, and you are able to solve these two forces. There are many problems which can be solved in a similar way. Any problem, as we have studied so far, has to be resolved into its free body state with all the unknown forces, and then applying the equations of equilibrium, sigma Fx equals 0, sigma Fy equals 0, in order to get the unknown force, or in some cases the unknown angles also. As we can see in this particular case, a weight A and a weight B are being held in position by a tension cable. All that we are asked to find out is how much should the tension be. So, this is how we can resolve and find out the magnitude of T and the direction of T. We end our session here today, and once again summarizing, we have learned about composition of forces, we have learned about resolution of forces, we have learned about equilibrium of forces. Today's session we have talked only about concurrent forces. The next topics will be about non-concurrent forces using similar principles. So, once again, wish you all the best and good luck to you. Goodbye and thank you very much.